Okay, so before we hit on to the forms of the next mode, which appears to be by the forms of King of the River, first of all we need to take care of the forms of certain minigames that we have not played for the majority of the Let's Play itself, by going through Free Play Sub, play your favorite minigames. So, yeah, basically it's all about, you know, play any kinds of minigames anytime you wanted to, just in case for your practice, unless if you decide able to compete against with, like, aggressive computer player difficulty behavior like hard or brutal mode, but either way though, we'll just gonna have to leave it to that. So, now as far as for my list of certain minigames we have played, we have obviously played every single 4-player minigames, including microphone games as well, and also we've played 1 vs 3 minigames here, but we haven't touched upon 1 vs 3 mic minigames yet, which is kind of odd if you ever think about it. And of course we played every single 2 vs 2 minigames if I recall correctly. Yeah, I think we've been able to actually play every single one of them. And we've played every battle minigames there. Almost done with the duel minigames, except we haven't played 4 of them, which are Bridge Work, Hip Hop Drop, Lightspeed, and Camp Yukiki. Which is a shame, because either way though, I'll discuss on that later. And we've almost played every single DK minigame except Jumpman, which I haven't experienced yet. And we played every single multiplayer Belzer minigames, and we've seen Slaughter Well several times already, but that was computer players. But I haven't experienced every single player Belzer minigames yet. Although there's also Belzer's Lovely Lift, but I don't usually count that for this video, but that'll be saving up until the final video of this Let's Play. And of course, much like in Mario Party 6, there is rare replay or rare minigames, as you can see right there, which somehow there's only 2 minigames this time around as opposed to 4, unlike in Mario Party 6. So, anyways, without further ado, let's get into the forms of the first selections of minigames, and they all come from 1 vs 3 mic minigames. So, first minigame we have is Number Crunchers. So, and since I can't change the opponents, so I'm gonna have to do with the forms of the microphone turned on. So, one player speaks commands into the mic to drop thwomps while the other players try to avoid being smashed. So basically I have to say 1, 2, 3, square or circle. So yeah, that's basically all I have to do for the sake of this minigame right here. Alright, so let's begin, shall we? So of course I've got my microphone with me. So yeah, let's get started. Square. 3. Circle. 1, 2, 3, square, 1. Ah, it doesn't come down until when the minigame finishes. Ah, I totally forgot about that. But regardless, I think Waluigi and Luigi have managed able to get out of the actual the minigame itself, but unfortunately though, I didn't seem to able to actually just to get them in time. Next minigame we have is Wheel of Woe. Seems like a similar minigame as the other ones though. One player uses the mic to unleash enemies on the other 3 players. Last one standing is the winner. So I have to say, Chain Jump, Shy Guy, and Bullet Bill. So yeah, that's all I have to do for the sake of time. So, yeah, I think that's as far as I can say describe about this minigame. It's just all about saying commands and all that stuff. Very much like the 4-player mic minigames for sure. Alright, let's begin. Chain Jump. Bullet Bill. Shy Guy. Chain Jump. Bullet Bill. Chain Jump. Shy Guy. Chain Jump. Bullet Bill. Shy Guy. Chain Jump. Shy Guy. It seems like every opponent seems able to get really good at this so far. Although I don't know about you, because I'm guessing they always standing towards the edge of that particular cartwheel. But either way though, they sure still survive for that. Next minigame, Boxing Day, not to be confused as the exact same special day from ever since in 26th of December. So I'll briefly mention that reference. One player uses the mic to guide the robot arms while the other players try to ground pound the tiles. So yeah, I have to say right, left, double punch, rotate, or rocket punch. So yeah, that's basically all we have to do for this one right here. So yeah, time to knock those computer players out, if we decide able to actually just win this time. Let's think. Rotate. And basically, if you say something, then the robot will... Are you for real? They never seem to jump over the second arm. I mean, what is this, like a pathetic version of hard, where... I've already got these opponents on hard, but... whatever. Next minigame, Be My Charm. Or Be My Cham. Oh, I don't know why you pronounce that very well. Use the mic to attack the underwater swimmers. If you're in the water, dodge everything. So I have to say Cheep Cheep, Lakitu, Blooper, and Sushi. So yeah, that's all I have to say for this point. It feels very similar to a Sink or Swim minigame from Mario Party 6. Except now we have to use the mic on this one. Cheep Cheep. Sushi. Blooper. Oh, what? Lakitu. Blooper. Blooper. Sushi. Sushi. Cheep Cheep. Sushi. Cheep Cheep. Sushi. See, I think this minigame is actually a little bit harder than the Sink or Swim in my opinion, just because, well, obviously you have no full control of your character or your fate. So yeah, that was that. So now let's move on, rather, to the last minigame in terms of 1 vs 3 mic minigames, and that is Stratosphere. This seems kind of fun though. One player moves the platform up and down in an attempt to make bullet bills hit the other players. So I have to say, only for 2 words. Well, to be more specifically, move up and move down. And what's awesome about this minigame though, as you can see on this little preview, it actually takes place something more accurately like a Super Mario Bros. Style of game. Like you see that Super Nintendo sprites of those blocks in the background. Anyway, move down. And move up. And that's pretty easy. They don't stand a chance to able to actually dodge those bullet bills, and I found the easier strategy while doing this minigame. But yeah, that's every single mic minigames in terms of Mario Party 7 has to offer. They're fine. I mean, they're a lot more expandable than the forms of how it does it on Mario Party 6. But either way though, let's move on now to the dual minigames. So, as I said, we are missing 4 of them, which are Bridge Work, Hip Hop Drop, Light Speed, and Camp Yukiki. So let's get started with Bridge Work. Avoid the Cheep Cheeps jumping over the bridge. So that's it. That's how the description goes. Watch out for the big Cheep Cheeps. They are hard to avoid. So yeah, this particular minigame does remind me of that one level also from Super Mario Bros. That in one of those bridge levels, because obviously those Cheep Cheeps will always seem to able to jump onto that bridge, and it's up to you to able to avoid them as much as you can. So, except the fact that it now plays like a minigame. So, yeah, I do apologize if my commentary on certain mic minigames gets a little bit tad awkward most of the time, because obviously my computer keeps on lacking most of the time, which is not that pleasant! But, at least as far as I can usually just trying to able to tell you guys about that from the start. And unfortunately I've lost that minigame, but whatever, we're just showing that off anyway. So, next minigame we have Hip Hop Drop. And this is kind of a fun one, and we'll switch over to our different opponents to face off against. So, hop for the finish line by quickly pressing the buttons that appear on the panels. So basically you have to press all kinds of buttons here. So if you press the wrong button, you fall down in a hole and you will lose valuable time. So yeah, that's basically how this minigame plays out, is that you get out to press the buttons as what's shown on the actual panel. But again, if you press the wrong one, then obviously you lose valuable time. So, yeah, that's basically how this works. So, oh, dang it, I pressed the wrong button. Oh well, we'll just keep moving, I suppose. So, a few things I want to explain while this is going is the fact that today's day is, of course, the 27th of February today, in this case in 2022, and it looks like we've only got about 2 more days to go until we move on to March. So, which also means is the fact that the Nintendo Switch will be definitely become, well, 5 years old until specifically we've got about, I would say, roughly, if I have to able to get my calculations correctly, I think, relatively speaking, we've got 4 days to go, I think. So, anyways, let's move on to the next minigame, Light Speed, and this time around we'll face off against with Waluigi this time. So, hop on the amazing hover cards and run over panels to change them to your color. So basically, this minigame kind of feels like similar to the likes of Title and Era, except the fact that, well, rather than just trying to able to walk on foot and trying to do some ground pounding in order to able to change color, instead, we now need to utilize the hover cards in order to able to actually maneuver the actual, well, the light board itself. So, yeah, that's basically all you have to do in this minigame. It's that simple, so... And unfortunately, my throat is actually getting a little bit... croaky today, but I'm still fine as it is, so, yeah, I guess that's that. So, I suppose I should probably mention about something, and that is the fact that I'm pretty sure that, usually, relatively speaking, when it comes to certain environments for the dual minigames this time around in this game, I'm pretty sure it does manage to take place within 3 different, locations or something. Like one of them inside the actual, I would say like an activity building, and also there's one in the forms of somewhere in the lake, or somewhere in the lake forest, and also in the actual forest itself, so I guess I should probably point things out. Last minigame in terms of the dual minigames department, and that will have to be Camp Kiki. I think this is easily without doubt my favorite minigame in this entire game. Race against your foe as you make your way through the obstacle course. So basically we have to go for a lot of obstacle courses here. Move quickly, but don't get out of control. If you fall, you lose valuable time. So, yeah, like I said, this is easily my favorite minigame in this entire... Not for the entire game, not just for the forms of the entire game, I should say, but also my favorite dual minigame of all time. Mainly because it's a lot more competitive, and also not to mention though, since I've still adored those platforming minigames, just like in the forms of how it does it on Leaf Leapers ever since in Mario Party 6, but except this time around though, it takes place in the forms of a different angle perspective. So, in this case though, is the fact that it feels like a different angle perspective with that camera angle. So, yeah, I guess that pretty much summarizes this minigame. So, it's kind of a shame that this minigame never makes a return from either the top 100 or Superstars, because if that makes a comeback for the likes of, in terms of one of those dual minigames based off of Mario Party 7, originally I was expecting this will be a lot more, a bit of a better choice than in forms of what we got right now, which is Spin Doctor. But I don't mind Spin Doctor too much, but it's just the fact that I kind of prefer Camp Kiki a little bit more. So yeah, that's all the dual minigames, and let's move on to the DK minigame, which is Jumpman. But since computer players have already experienced this minigame, but except me. So run up the ramp and reach the top before DK does. But watch for the barrels. Say, this looks familiar. Well, yes it is, because it almost inspires by the forms of an arcade game Donkey Kong. Like basically jumping over the barrels and all that stuff. Now, I believe I've already mentioned about this already ever since the very beginning of the Let's Play itself. I'm pretty sure this minigame does make a return from the likes of Mario Party, the top 100. So, yeah, I think I've already explained about that ever since then. So, yeah, it's got to watch out for those barrels coming at you. And then if you manage to get hit by those barrels, then you lose valuable time. So you have to, like, be very careful not to get stunned temporarily. So it's kind of a shame I didn't actually experience this minigame during the course of the actual main... well, the Party Cruise mode, but aside from that, at least I'm glad to play it. So, now let's move on to the forms of the Belzer minigames, and the majority of them are single player ones. So, because after all, we've already played so many multiplayer mini-games though, so either way though, although there's also Slaughter Well, but only computer players experience that mini-game, except me, so Vols will show this off again. But first of all, let's get into Tunnel of Lava. So, only one of Belzer's minions has the precious door key. Stomp on them to find it. So, yeah, basically we have to find a precious key until the time runs out. And also we have to jump on those Mecha Koopas, as you can tell from that particular minigame preview. Does that look familiar to you? Well, this particular minigame does remind me of one of those segments from the likes of Frightmare minigame from Mario Party 5, that basically we have to jump onto those Mecha Koopas, as you can see, except unlike in the forms of how it does it on the forms of in Mario Party 5, that we no need to worry about losing health. Instead, that you need to worry about the timer limit, and also you only have to find one of the Mecha Koopa that does manage to eat you know, the key itself. So if you do find the key, then you'll be safe and you've accomplished it. So yeah, that's a pretty easy minigame, all things considered. So now let's move on to the next minigame we have is Treasure Dome. One chest holds a key to the next chest, which holds a key to the next one, and so on. Open every chest to win. So, I think this might be a little bit luck-based than the other one, mainly because every time whenever you replay that minigame, sometimes certain treasure chests are a bit randomized. So, yeah, we got to able to figure out the correct order in order to able to actually make it happen for the sake of this this chest order. In fact, this minigame does remind me of one of those missions in Super Mario 64 that basically we have to pick the correct order of the treasure chest, because, well, if you hear that particular chest goes all like rattled and everything, this means it's not a correct order. But if it doesn't though, as you can see on screen, this means you're able to progress. And thankfully, if you made a if you make a mistake, then basically you don't have to go through the entire order all over again. So, at least that's a good thing. And it's also a good thing I somehow managed to accomplish this minigame as well. And now let's move on to the last minigame in terms of the Belzer minigames, not counting the forms of Belzer's Lovely Lift, Slaughter Well. And as far as I'm aware, this is my least favorite in terms of the Belzer minigames as far as I'm concerned. Line up 3 key symbols on the slot machine and get a key of your own and win. So basically we have to stop the slots, and then basically if you get all 3 key symbols on the slot machine, then you will claim the key, and then you will get the heck out of here. So yeah, like I said, I think this is easily one of my least favorites in terms of those Belzer minigames department, because I will have to be honest here, I feel like I would start to apologize to Thunderwall, despite how chaotic that minigame was, but at the very least that minigame doesn't drag on, so at least I honestly appreciate about that. But it's just the fact that whenever I have no idea. So anyways, at least we got that first key symbol, and the second one, so the third one has always been the hardest one, because it's always like, kind of, you know, fast. But if you get any, like, different colors of Belzer icons, then, luckily for you, you don't need to restart the whole entire slot machine sequence again, because you can just simply just keep trying and trying and trying again. So at least that's that. And I believe that's every single Belzer minigames to show off, aside from Belzer's Lovely Lift, which again, we'll save that up until in the final extra video. So, yeah, I suppose that's that. So let's move on now to the only 2 rare minigames, but that can wait until on next Saturday. So I'll see you guys on that day.